And this is a great one. Like with all the political intrigue that goes on, kind of seems like they would get lost in doing like keeping the supernatural creatures alive. But they do a great job, and they start off with this great scene of him having to fight this wraith, and you can see this is the new crew, and you can see this wraith manifest, and this is an absolutely terrifying creature. And what the wraith is important for is that all these creatures are really symbolic. And there's a part where Geralt says it in, I think it's episode 3, when he talks about, if they could ever really get rid of all the monsters, right? Like making him, obsolete. And what he says is that people create these monsters. Humans don't want to accept accountability for drinking too much or beating their wives or just being crappy people. So there's always going to be plenty of monsters around. And he doesn't kill. This is a great scene. Overall, it's just a great scene. This is everything that you'd want from Witcher, right? It's the new crew is involved in it, right? He's at everybody. This wraith is an amazing creature. And another creature that Geralt doesn't want to kill, right? He does not want to kill this creature, right? Which kind of remains consistent with his belief about certain creatures, about monsters in general. And this creature kind of really becomes an important part. That's him. You can see how powerful this creature is. It's literally got the bard trapped, like they're gonna drag him to hell. And this is where this other crew really starts to show how useful they are. That no one runs. They're really bonded. And she's gonna help the bard, her and the new dwarf guy. So they start to prove themselves, and this is a real threat for them. But this is an important moment because this wraith serves a function beyond just an animal that he has to fight, right? This wraith kind of serves as his mirror, as far as Geralt's mirror. Again, this is embodying unrestrained chaos. That's what this wraith is. Now, Geralt manages to stay very calm, and it shows his mastery over fear and his own natural instincts. Now, in this particular scene, when you go and watch this, the fight sequence is really good because this scene itself kind of defines order within this chaos because of its visual style. And the lighting and sound operate very well. You get this contrast between the mist and the movement. And sound-wise, there's not a lot to the score when you listen to it. I'm watching the scene now. There's not a lot to the score. And that's kind of rare for this show. Usually they use a lot of pacing to keep the story going. They don't do very much of that. So this is kind of a statement, right? There's minimum scoring, and you're really carried by the rhythmic sounds of the battle. That's what you really get. So it kind of isolates you into what these guys are getting. And this is a terrible battle because they could really lose. Like, they're actually facing real consequences here. And finally, you see when he does what he has to do, he kind of neutralizes the wraith, not because he chooses to, not because, again, it's kind of that kind of scenario where he chooses to still give what mercy he can for this wraith. And this is a real moment where you can see him connecting with these creatures, because this is where Geralt really lives. He's in between, humanity and these actual creatures. So when he looks in this moment, when these two creatures are eye to eye, this is a real moment. This is a real shattering when he destroys this creature, because he has to look her. He at least gives her the courtesy of looking her in the eyes. Now this scene runs about 3 minutes long. I think it goes from roughly it's roughly a 3-minute scene. About 3:41 it starts. And then it's over, right? So 3 minutes of real action that tells a lot about, one, what I felt like I got out of it was reinforcing his position within this whole order, right? And how he's ultimately a part of it. And there's a symbolic statement, like his stillness versus the wrath's frenzy is really what it's all about. Now, there's some foreshadowing that about chaos linking the sword and the spell and these primary disciples. So what really get out of this thing is that we establish who Geralt is, and that is he's equilibrium as this Witcher. He's a killer without malice, and that's actually what makes him extremely important. The wraith itself represents one of the four elementals of Earth, right? This grounding principle. And this principle is going to be important later as we get deeper in the series, especially if you're going to watch this all in one sit. There's a couple things that you want to grab. And this idea of the four elements, like they're really going back into the lore of the series. So this was a great scene to kind of get us started. And it's a good action scene. So if you're checking the temperature, the metabolic rate of this episode, it starts you all high. And what he says, there's a couple of lines that he delivers where he says, in talking about the Wraith, that she wasn't a monster, that she was suffering. So in his ideology, he really just cured her of her suffering. And this is how we kind of ramp into this episode, like a reminder of the lore, a reminder of his positioning, and then just a good ass scrap.